What's up everybody, my name is Wreck-It Rob, and today we're going to be talking about how to rune the Rock Golem. Now, the Rock Golem is one of the best 3-star heroes that you can get. If you saw my lawful hero tier list, you know I put him at the top. I think that he's one of the best units that you can get that is a 3-star, because he's incredibly useful in building your first Lair team. In fact, he's still used in my Lair team, and we're going to get into how to do that later. He also is incredibly good at PvP for like AoE stuns, some single target stuns, but I prefer him more for his AoE on his 3rd skill. The Golem is incredibly useful because if you go to guild, you can actually buy him. With 800 guild devotion, you can pick up your first Golem. Now the Golem is incredibly good for one of two reasons, like I said. The first one being for your Lair team. This is how I have my Lair Golem built. You see he's got generally low speed, prioritize mostly HP, other stats don't really matter that much. Maybe a little bit of resistance depending on what the comp of your team is. You might want to try to get that closer to 100 if you can, but you're not really looking for him for damage in Lair at all. You're mostly just worried about his HP stat. His HP stat is what's going to matter the most, because you can see this skill doesn't do anything in Lair. This skill, I mean, I guess it does a little. It reduces incoming damage, which is like kind of always good. It's completely for this skill. This is the skill that you want on your Golem if you're gonna be building him for Lair, because he generates a shield equal to 5% of his own max HP, lasts for 1 turn, and it scales by 20%. Now, I'm not sure if this is one where it adds on 5% to this original 5%, or if it's 5 additional percent. I'm not sure. There's somewhere it's one way, somewhere it's the other way. I'm not sure which one it is on this, but either way, it's enough shield to pretty much soak up all the damage that anyone on your team is really taking. So if you have a Golem that has high enough HP, your whole team is pretty much protected for your entire Lair run, especially your back units, which you know are really squishy and like you flick them and they die. So I have him runed on triple conflict simply because, you know, I've been farming Lair, so I have runes of this quality. But if you look at them, I don't have any runes that are like this. Rune really should not be on my Golem. It should really be on somebody else. I actually want to see if I have a better rune for that later. This rune, 16 HP or 16% HP, is completely achievable with any other rune. 19% HP, once again, completely achievable. These are just all 6-star HP runes. So the runes I have on him are not anything ridiculous. I don't have anything better on him because he doesn't really need better. I could throw better runes on him, but it's kind of a waste of some better runes. Like, I might swap this one out for a higher HP, but it doesn't need it. I don't fail in Lair because he already protects everybody. So a really good build that I would suggest for your first Golem is if you know you've been farming catacombs for a little bit, you have a little bit of blessing runes stocked up. If you did triple blessing and then you did triple HP, even if these are 5-star runes, you're pretty much making up for what you're losing by not having these 6-star with each blessing set. So you can easily achieve higher HP than what I have here. This is just good enough for what I need. And if you look, I don't even think I have any of his runes. Yeah, no, I haven't improved any of his runes at all with quartz. So you can see a Golem of 75,000 HP. It's plenty good enough for this. So like I said, doesn't need speed, doesn't need resistance, hit, really anything for Lair, because none of that's gonna really matter that much. So we're actually gonna go ahead, we're gonna use him in Lair first. If you don't have enough tankiness on your team, what I would suggest is clicking leader skill, click the Rock Golem. It's gonna improve the shields that he's throwing on everybody, improve his own HP, everyone's base HP anyway. So it's gonna make your team a lot tankier and gonna make this run a lot safer in the beginning. So if you notice, my Druid's 3rd skill is on his cleanse. He's on his cleanse instead of his heal, because if you're able to whittle the boss down fast enough, you don't need that much healing. Because really the only attacks you're taking are these counter attacks, which, if your Golem is strong enough, you're seeing, well, they had invincible up on them from the Elven Queen right there, but hopefully it'll, I'm gonna say, why is my Lair team running too good for this? Sorry, I really hope that a turn gets skipped. No, don't be too good. Why did... Didn't even get a chance to attack him. Okay. Well, obviously I need to like pull out some attackers or something. I'm trying to show off the Golem, not my freaking Lair team. This should do a lot less damage so I can actually show off. I didn't have any stamina. Why am I a horrible YouTuber? Hopefully the invincibility gets ticked off, so... Okay. So the invincibility is off on several of my units, so what you should be seeing as soon as this happens is you're seeing a lot of absorbs, and you're seeing a little bit of damage, like only in the hundreds, so not enough to hurt him. But who's it on? The Archmage, I think? I think just the Archmage. What you're seeing is all of those absorbs are happening because he's throwing out his shields, because everything that the Chimera is doing is a multi-hit attack. So he attacks, the Golem throws up a bunch of shields on everybody, and then he doesn't really have the attack power to whittle down my team that much. What that's doing is providing a lot of absorbing and not a whole lot of damage actually being done to my team. So this is why I tell all new players that kind of the order that they should do 6 stars is Armor, Windwalker, then Druid or Golem, one of the two. I would say probably Druid first, then Golem. But either way, he should still be in like your first 5-6 stars probably, because you could have entire 5 stars for like almost everything else, and you could still build a pretty good Lair team. Like it would still work just fine depending on, you know, obviously the units that you have in the front, units you have in the back. It depends on a lot of things, but essentially you only need a good Golem to keep your team alive. And once again, this isn't even with the Druid's healing 3rd skill, so all that's being provided is just a little bit of a cleanse. There, you see? And the round's done, no one died, and I only had the Jungle Heart actually healing anybody. So this is kind of the point of the Golem. You make him incredibly tanky. Like I said, let me show him again. So you make him incredibly tanky, very, very much stacked with HP. Defense, you can see I have like almost no defense on him. The speed, you don't need speed. In all honesty, in Lair, the less turns he takes, the better. You don't need like any other stat really besides HP if you have, you know, like a Jungle Heart in there. For your beginner Golem, just do triple blessing. That's really all you need. And then, you know, as you're able to farm more team runes, I would suggest throwing on conflict runes, because they just speed your runs up a lot more, as long as your team is actually able to withstand what's happening. But you're going to get higher quality runes a lot faster farming in Lair. You can see I think all of these are 6-star runes except one. Yeah, he has all 6-star runes except one in conflict. And he has a decent amount of HP on all of them. And I don't think that I've changed these runes since like my first week of farming Lair, like months ago. Point is, build him tanky, triple blessing, then just start putting conflict sets on him. If we were going to be building him for PvP, you know, like probably in Guild Wars, that would be where I would use him the most. Guild Wars, maybe some in Spire or some in probably not Vapor, but you know, some in Spire, some in Guild Wars. If you're going to be doing that, what I suggest is taking this off, making it HP, probably throwing him on Swift. I don't know, maybe Swift Immunity? Yeah, I would say Swift Immunity on him, and then Speed, HP, HP, or Speed Crit Damage HP, depending on your substats, kind of how you're using him. I would suggest using him more as a stunner. So I wouldn't suggest crit damage on him. I would suggest making him very fast, having a lot of HP, and then having a lot of hit. When you're doing him for PvP, you swap out Stealing Stone for the 2nd skill, and then 3rd skill, you swap for Unstoppable. So Unstoppable has a 50% chance to stun everyone. It's not the best AoE stun, but for a 3-star that you're potentially only using like in Guild War and Spire, it's not that bad. And then his 1st skill has a 50% chance to stun on every hit. So obviously for that, you really want his hit to be incredibly high. You can see I don't have any hit on him right now. It doesn't matter for Lair. But if I were building him for PvP, like Guild War, I would really want to build him with as close to 100% hit as I could get. So for Sanctifying, if you're doing him in Lair, well, you can see I have him on Blade Armor right now just to reflect a little bit more damage whenever he's taking any from Chimera. If I were using him in PvP, Depending on the substats, depending on if you have high enough hit, I would go with either Holy Body, Robust, or Hawkeye. If you don't have enough hit, I would go with Hawkeye. Just make sure that you get it as close to 100% as you can, because his stuns aren't 100%, so you want the stuns that are activating to make sure that they land on them. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to go see if we can potentially strip off some runes to actually build a PvP golem real fast. Okay, it took a little bit. I think I finally got the build for like a PvP golem that I would want to use. You see, it has much higher speed, a lot less HP. I really wish that I could have more HP on him, but I don't really feel like picking my best runes off absolutely everything for this. But imagine pretty much this same build with like 5 to 10,000 more HP. That's pretty much what you should aim for more of a PvP golem. And you can see the biggest difference in this one is the 93% hit. This 93% hit was not on him before at all. If you remember, he had 0% hit. If you're going to use him like this, I suggest really more like Guild Wars, because in Arena, you're probably going to have a better team than using a golem on your offense. If you're going for a stunner, he does well enough, especially with first skill having a 50% chance to stun, as well as the second skill stealing energy, so he's going to be turn cycling more from his second skill as well. Just in general, these are kind of the two builds. I have him on Swift and Broken because I did have 2 runes here. I had a lot more speed. I had about 60 more speed on him, which is great, but his hit was also really low. So I had to swap those out. I swapped this one for an HP rune, and I swapped this one for hit. It doesn't have to be hit. I could also, you know, use quartz on all these runes and make his stats a lot better. You can get away without using a hit rune. He works great. He can be super tanky. He can just be a tanky stunner for you, and it works great in Guild Wars. I feel like once again I've been a little bit frazzled in this one. Sorry, the different environments sort of shakes me up a little bit, but I hope that I was able to kind of share a little bit of light on this, just to kind of go over it again. If you're building a golem for Lair, definitely build him with as much HP as possible. Pretty much like no other stat really matters for Lair. You could make a case for resistance, but not really much else is needed for your golem in Lair. You mostly just need him to sit there, be tanky, throw out a ton of shields. I would suggest definitely, if you're going to be using him in Lair though, definitely put skill ups into at least that 3rd skill. Well, really just the 3rd skill. The 3rd skill is the only one you're needing. You're not needing him for damage or stealing energy, anything like that. Just try to get all of these skill ups into the 3rd skill, and he'll work great for your beginning Lair team. If you're using him in PvP, attempt to make him fast, tanky, and have a really high hit. What I would suggest though with his speed is speed tune him to go behind a stripper like Draconian Princess or Wisp. Wisp would work great because if you had the Wisp out there, you could just strip everybody and then stun half of them with your golem. And then from there you can use, you know, other turn cyclers to outspeed them, to keep them stunned, other stuff like that. And you could potentially build an extra Guild War team from units lying around that you didn't know that you could really use in Guild Wars. Hope everybody enjoyed this video. This is kind of a little bit faster video that I've done. I wasn't really sure what to do for it because at the moment, you know, we kind of just had an update go in that didn't really add much, so there's not a whole lot new stuff that I'm going to be able to talk about until more is added to the game or more is able to be talked about. So you might see a couple more of these how to rune videos coming out. I do intend kind of eventually to cover everyone because I would like to have a guide for how to rune every hero in the game. I think that that's really important for beginner players, and if you have a hero that you would like me to tackle next, if you're curious about how to rune somebody, just let me know and I will attempt to tackle it soon. I would just like to thank you guys for kind of bearing with me for this next week. These videos are going to be a little bit lower quality. I know the camera work as well as my audio isn't sounding that good. I'm not in a very recording ready room, so I know it's going to be a little bit rough for a while, but thank you for sticking with me. Hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a favor and wreck that like button as well as the subscribe button down below. And if you have some free time, go click my link down in the description to my Twitch stream. I'm currently not streaming on there right now, but hopefully within the next week and a half, I should be. I already kind of have plans set for the first stream for what I'm going to be doing in it. I'm currently working on that right now. It just takes a lot of farming for me to get that ready. That should be happening within a week and a half. I'm going to be planning on it, getting everything set up when I get back to transition into doing streams as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Later.